of Associate Professor and serves as the Academic Advisor for the Dean of Faculty at Rabtan Academy. She held the role of Associate Dean of Student Affairs for the College of Health Sciences at Abu Dhabi University. Dr. Elsoiri has achieved notable accomplishments throughout her career and has been recognized as an exceptional professor, demonstrating exemplary leadership skills while imparting a wealth of knowledge to her students. Dr. Elsoiri encompasses various roles, including that of an academician, researcher, mother, educator, and a community builder. She played a pivotal part in establishing the public health program and the College of Health Sciences at Abu Dhabi University.
First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, Her Excellency Ms. Salma, and of course Dr. Musa for this lovely invitation. I've never been in a room with so many successful women. It's amazing. I texted my boss, my dean this morning, he's Emirati, and I said, you should be very proud of what you have in this country, and you need to step up the game as well. So, congratulations for all the successful stories we heard this morning, and I'm very proud to be part of this culture and country that encourages and supports women. I've been here for 14 years, and I don't see myself going anywhere else. Unless I have to, but it's amazing, the opportunities. Before I introduce our lovely panel, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our panel and what we're going to be talking about, which is linked to today's topic. So it is with great enthusiasm and anticipation that we gather here today to delve into a crucial conversation centered around, so our topic is going to be empowering women entrepreneurs, focusing mainly on challenges, success stories, and opportunities. And we want to hear from you as well. You know that in a world that is becoming increasingly interconnected and dynamic, the role of women in entrepreneurship is more pivotal than ever before, as we've seen this morning. This panel is a testament of our shared commitment to fostering an inclusive entrepreneurial landscape that recognizes the immense potential and innovative expertise that women bring to the table. The journey of a woman entrepreneur is often marked by, and we've heard this morning, by exceptional resilience and determination as she navigates through challenges unique to her gender. Today, we come together to explore these challenges openly and also to shed light on how they can be transformed into stepping stones towards success. We will celebrate the stories of women who defied odds, shattered glass ceilings, and built thriving enterprises, inspiring generations to come. Our discussion will not only shine and spotlight the obstacles faced by women entrepreneurs, but also illuminate the countless opportunities that awaits them. By addressing these challenges head-on and creating supportive ecosystem, we can unleash a wave of innovation that drives economic growth and social progress. Moreover, you can see one of our panelists is a male, so I've added this as well. We recognize the significant role that men play in this narrative, hence why we see men with us in this event. True empowerment is not a zero-sum game. It is a collaborative effort that requires engagement of all genders. Today, we are fortunate to have our esteemed panelists, including a male ally, who is deeply committed to championing this cause and paving the way for a future where women's entrepreneurial aspirations are not bound by limitations. As we embark on this insightful journey, let us remember that empowering women entrepreneurs isn't just about achieving gender equality. It is about harnessing the power of diversity to reshape industries, challenge norms, create a world where all individuals, regardless of their gender, can flourish. With that, I'd like to introduce our wonderful panelists. I'm gonna start with my left. So we have Dr. Angela Hamouda. She is an entrepreneurship educator and researcher at UAE University in Al Ain. She is involved in international research projects on women entrepreneurship. She's also an educator, mentor, and coach for women entrepreneurs across both developed and developing nations. Last but not least, her main focus is driving forward the female entrepreneurship agenda. Welcome to the stage. Next, we have Dr. Fiona Oster. She is currently an assistant professor at the University of Birmingham in Dubai and she's also a visiting professor in Heilbronn University in Germany. Welcome, Fiona. Last but not least, our male panelist, Mr. Najam Shaikh, who is currently the Director of Healthcare at Berkeley, Middle East, and Salma Al-Qabaisi Holding. And he's also involved in as a strategy advisor focused on access of care and driving quality outcomes. Welcome to everybody. So they're much better than I am. I'm just a boring academician. They're the entrepreneurs, and so we want to hear from them and from all of you. I'm gonna start, since I'm not an entrepreneur myself, but we've heard a lot about the challenges, whether it's gender bias, unequal access to funding and resources, limited networking opportunities, as you guys said. So I'm gonna start with Angela. For you, with your experience, what are some of the main challenges that women entrepreneurs face in today's business landscape?
I think when we talk about challenges, we have to be clear that many of the challenges are common to both male and female at startup stage and the different stages of development of the business. But there are specific challenges that are more specific to the woman. Of course, some of them have already been mentioned here today in terms of access to networks. The fact that the women they have the female role, the predominant role in the household, the responsibilities. So therefore, access to a lot of the networks where business decisions take place, they find it difficult to break into those networks. All of these challenges, by the way, are changing, they're evolving over time. So when I started researching this field 23 years ago, it was a different landscape. Some of the challenges are still the same, but some of them have improved. The credibility of the business would be common to both male and female, but it is more specific to the female. So if I'm running a business where I'm selling parts for machinery in agriculture, and I turn up to a farm to sell my parts, I am definitely going to struggle as a female entrepreneur in that space. So it's very specific to the space in which you're operating as well, the cultural context, and also the stage of the business development at which you're at. So none of these challenges are specific to any stage of business, the type of business, it varies. I'm just interested as well. I've met some fantastic women entrepreneurs here today, different types of businesses, different stages of business, some of them very much at the stage of scaling up. So I'm just interested in asking, just if we could have a couple of examples, so we get it sort of live and within the context of the UAE as to the type of challenges that are being faced by women entrepreneurs, because only then, when you put it into that context, it becomes clearer, and from a policy perspective as well, it's much more useful.
Sure. Do we have anybody who'd like to contribute to this question? Some of your personal challenges throughout your journey as an entrepreneur?
One of my challenges here as an entrepreneur is finding a way to, I created a business class. Since I know the culture, women are separate than men. So it took a lot of time for me to kind of having two separate classes, show up more than what I used to, and then plan a different lesson for women and a different lesson for men in the business sector. So the course was about business English, and I find out that it's a different concept for me. And people were asking me, because I'm from America, they were asking me why they cannot be together, why you have to do that for yourself. Because I said, when you're in the culture, you have to embrace the culture and also do things that align to the culture. So that was very challenging for me to spend my summer, but because I love what I do, and then the passion comes with gratification of seeing the people, how they love the class, how they actually give me some reviews. And at the end, I had to turn off my camera because I don't know, but you have to understand me as an educator to understand, like, you're teaching a course and the camera is off. So when I went to the mail session, I was like, no, Shirley, go back and turn off your camera. So when I turn off my camera, I'm gonna be honest with you. The amount of people that came afterwards and the result that I had with that, it's more rewarding because it not only shows that I'm teaching something, but also I enter traditions, culture into the course that I was teaching, because all of them embrace communication, and we heard earlier, is not only speaking the language, but the culture of the language, the tradition of the language you have to embrace. So that was very challenging, but it was like a good challenge that I really learned from.
Okay. Thank you. So the cultural context is very important, that we recognize that, that the challenges that faced in one country might be different in another cultural context. Aisha mentioned earlier about role models and champions. That has improved, I think, in the whole area of women entrepreneurship, but I still think that there's a way to go. The more role models that young women see across all business sectors, those at startup stage, those who have scaled up, have gone international, and across all male-dominated sectors, I think that's very important. And we spoke to somebody in the media just a few moments ago, so I think the role of the media is paramount in this, in terms of platforming those role models. We mentioned as well, access to networks as a challenge, but with the access to networks, it makes it easier to access mentoring, finance, information. So there are a lot of links with all of these issues in terms of the platforms for, that help with the overall development of the business.
Thank you very much. Fiona, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think there are other challenges as well that are not just for women, but for businesses in general. Most ideas fail. 9 out of 10 ideas will fail. Most businesses will, how long will they survive? The startups last. And I think, not just for women, all startups, we need, I think, to start a conversation about how we can, at a very practical level, start to help our startups to become more sustainable, how we can help them to really innovate on an ongoing basis, and how we can help them to collaborate in a very practical way so that everybody can grow. And I think this leads us into the subject of ecosystems, actually. So if I could make a couple of comments on ecosystems. There's a lot of talk about ecosystems and what they are and what they mean. Now, my own research into ecosystems, there are many definitions out there, but what I'm thinking here is where we have government, where we have industry and business, and where we have academia. And when I mean academia, I'm talking about research centers, I'm talking about centers of competence, where we have all of these elements working together. So essentially we're looking at our triple helix, if you like, model of innovation, or we can bring in society into it, we can bring in the environment, and then you have your quadruple and quintuple helixes. But the idea is that we really need to look, the successful ecosystems are those ecosystems where information flows between all of the elements. And in order for that information to flow, we need some sort of framework, we need some sort of a structure. And within the heart of that structure, there needs to be an independent team that really can ensure that the relationships and this knowledge flow really happens. So this in itself leads to strategies which can be implemented to really focus on the development of businesses. Now, I don't want to wax on too long, but what's really important here, we see the formation of clusters all over the world. I've studied a lot of clusters, best practice clusters in Europe. And what these cluster organizations are doing is developing a strategy for the region. They're sectoral, they're contextual, so no two clusters, no two ecosystems are the same. It depends on the context. But what's common where they're effective, and I should also add that these ecosystems, some evolve more organically, some are very much planned, many are somewhere in the middle. But it's about then helping the startups to continuously innovate. So a startup starts with a new product, with a new innovation, a new idea. And the team that are in the startup, generally it's a small team, and they're focused then on the day-to-day of the business and trying to bring in and meet their monthly, quarterly targets, et cetera, And what really has to happen is that these businesses not only become successful with their existing products, but they need to be future-proofing themselves at the same time. And that's where companies can run into trouble because they don't have the capacity necessarily or the resources to start future-proofing themselves. And this is where we need to start looking at what supports need to come in here to try and help on a very practical level, these companies to start future-proofing themselves and to grow in addition to driving themselves forward with the current business ideas. And again, it depends on the sector. You look at medical devices, for example, and you have every 18 to 24 months, you have a new product. And then, of course, so anyway, without going on too long, I think there's work to be done and there's a conversation to be had in terms of the really practical things within an ecosystem that can be done to help companies to not just to survive, but to actually, in the short term, but actually to grow in the medium and longer term.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Najam, what about you? What are your thoughts on the major challenges that some of the women encounter during entrepreneurship period?
So good question. First of all, I'm going to try to represent 4 billion males up here, so this will be no feat that I don't think I can achieve, but first thing, it starts with a conversation, and that's why I'm sitting here. So if you're not going to have the conversation, you're not going to be open up, then you're going to be ignorant, and you're not going to appreciate who's on the other side of the table. And that can go for male or female. And I think it's important to take a step back and first just see where are we now, and where do we want to go. So I took some points. Again, I don't have a presentation like Dr. Aisha did, but again, 26% of the UAE cabinet are female. That's a lot to say where you are and where you're coming from. The literacy rate in the UAE is 96% among women. UAE ranks 11th on the Gender Inequality Index, where in 2015 they ranked 49%. So within 8 years, look how much we've catapulted. Again, that goes back to what Aisha was talking about, that there was a government mandate. There's a support network set up for success in this regard. I did not know this, but in the UAE has the highest number of women in Forbes 100 most powerful Arab businesswomen in 2023. 15 of them are who are Emirati women. 25,000 Emirati businesswomen run projects worth over 60 billion dirhams worth of value. These are astonishing numbers. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. We got a long way to go. And how do we start that? We start with conversations, strategies. How do we incorporate and support and become allies and become sponsors or mentors or educators or trainers to help support what we have achieved? By the default of our genetics, we are at a certain place in business or in the world where the females are not. But do we become narrow-minded and kind of encompass that and keep it within ourselves? That's the wrong attitude. We need to complement who we have next to us and across from us. There's a very interesting thing. Everybody knows the three symbol that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum has stated, right? Win, victory, and love. If you take that same principle and you look at yourself and know what your anchor is, know who you are, what you are, and where you come from, if you can hone in on those three attributes, you will never sway away from what you need to get to. It's very important to know who you are, what you are, and where you come from. Where you come from, the country that you come from, where your upbringing is. Who are you? You're a mother, you're a sister, you're an aunt, you're a friend, you are a widow. What are you? You are empathetic, you are resilient, you have grit, you have self-confidence, you have self-awareness. If you can hone in on those 3 attributes of who you are as an anchor, you will be in the right direction. There's a story, I actually just saw a movie last night, not to belabor this, on Disney+. Anybody here like Flaming Hot Cheetos? You do. Do you know how that started? It was a janitor that was working on one of the plants in America. Based on those 3 principles, he knew where he came from. He was Mexican. He did not know who he was or what he was. Do you know who reminded him? His spouse. It's so important that we use and leverage, and we talked about this with Deena. I think within first 5 minutes, we connected right away, because your partner, whoever that may be, is as much as part of that journey as you are. His wife reminded him of who he was and what he was. He had mastered the where part. He was a proud Mexican. So I think it's important that we complement who we have across from us to overcome some of the obstacles that are either by gender or by society. But if we're not going to have a conversation, we're not going to get anywhere.
Thank you, Najam. And I love that because I remember I was asked by one of my students in front of a classroom, I think there were 100 students, and they said, what do you think the greatest contribution to your success, Dr. Deena? And I was thinking, is it my parents? Is it my degrees? Is it my skills? Is it my experience? But then one thing popped up, and complimenting what he said, I said, my husband. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for his support, I would not be standing with a PhD and with a family, because I left home 20 years ago, left my family. So he's the one who's been there. So I totally agree with that. We need each other in a journey. We need that stability in our life. I want to go back to Angela. We've got so much to learn from you guys, but Angela, we talk about mentorship and networking. We know how crucial mentorship is for women entrepreneurs to gain guidance, learn from others' experiences, and of course expand their network. So my question to you, from your experience and from obviously your knowledge, how important is mentorship for women entrepreneurs? And also, what are some effective ways to establish mentorship programs and networks that cater specifically to women's needs?
Well, mentoring is crucial right from the outset. I'm an educator, but I feel I'm a mentor and a coach, always. So I think for somebody at their pre-startup stage, that mentoring role is crucial. We've spoken earlier about access to networks not always being easy for the female entrepreneurship. However, the mentoring is, the networks are a platform for the mentors to come together and bring that wealth of knowledge and experience that they have to the table. There needs to be a framework developed that can work, that will have an appropriate impact. So to marry from the supply side to the demand side in terms of a lot of very, very valuable people out there who have been on their journeys and have a wealth of knowledge and experience across different sectors. So it's not to say that if I'm setting up in an engineering sector, I need, a mentor from the engineering sector will be very valuable, but I can also learn from other people from different business sectors and their journeys. So this framework needs to identify the needs of the particular mentee and link up the mentor with the mentee in a way that's beneficial. And not only at the pre-startup stage, but at the different stages of the life cycle of the entrepreneur. They need different type of advice, different type of knowledge. And these entrepreneurs, these mentees, will themselves become mentors. So it's to capitalize within this framework so that that actually happens in a way that's effective. On this, I'd like to welcome any comments or questions on this in terms of from people at the different stages of their journeys. And we've had the pandemic as well. So how did mentoring take place during the pandemic, and how important is technology in this role of developing this mentoring, which is so important What have been your experiences?
Would anyone would like to? Yes, Najam, and then we'll go to you.
Just a clarification, mentors are not recruiters. They're not there to get you a job. That's the number one thing I get as a mentor for other mentees. They think that you are here to get them a job or connect with you for networks that you have. It's about development, self-development. So I just want to clarify that there's a big difference between a recruiter who's helping you get a job and a mentor who's trying to set you up for success.
That's a great comment.
Can I just say as well, with the proposed framework, that the expectations of both parties would be a very important part of this framework. So I just think that there's an onus on enterprise support agencies to work on the development of this framework with the relevant academic organisations as well, that I think it's of such significant value that it needs that level of thought and development.
And I think it's a long-term relationship. It's not someone that's partially there during your career. He or she becomes a reference. I still have a mentor in my life that I always go back to in my career. We had a comment, if you want to come up front, to tell us about your mentorship experience. Maybe you can just introduce yourself.
My name is Sadia Tariq. I'm running my own e-commerce and digital marketing business since last 10 years in UAE. Before that, I had been into teaching in Arabic school, and that I taught for 15 years. So my journey has been completely, alhamdulillah, very successful. And as she was talking about the mentorship, first of all, I would like to really thank them for having such a wonderful conversation, and you could connect each and every point together. First, they were talking about the challenges in the business, a very important and crucial point. Thank you so much for bringing up a very important topic, because every day we are hearing somewhere or another that entrepreneurs are facing challenges. And let me connect to that. One of the biggest challenges is that whether it's a man or a woman, they get carried away with emotions. So this is the biggest challenge in business, that business is not, you cannot run a business over emotions. And this is where the challenge starts. And when it says about mentorship, yes, I agree. Thank you very much for bringing this topic, that during COVID, mentoring has become a very vast topic. And we have come up with excellent mentors online. But the thing is that, are we ready to learn from those mentors? They are there to benefit us. But during the COVID, the social media, the digital world has popped up so immensely that people have lost patience. And they have lost the consistency to learn through the same program. You have to select your correct mentor, and then you have to hold them tightly. As he said, it's not mentor's job to get you a job. But yes, it can be your mentor who can lead you to the destination that you want to be. So this is where the problem is happening. People are switching among the mentors, and it is not leading them to their final destinations. And thank you very much once again for bringing up this topic. And if you have anyone around you who is looking for a mentor, tell them that hold someone tightly, and then success will be yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the panel on mentorship? All right. Okay. So Fiona, I'm gonna move. I want to brush also on collaboration and partnerships.
Yep.
We know that it can enhance growth and reach, and we know that women entrepreneurs can collaborate with like-minded business, tap into networks, and join industry associations. But my question to you, how could women entrepreneurs leverage collaboration and partnerships to enhance their business growth and reach?
Actually, it's a good question, and it's a very complicated question. Collaboration is not necessarily easy. And I think for collaboration to make sense from a business perspective, it's about the pursuit of an opportunity, first of all. And that opportunity needs to be researched, it needs to be substantiated, it needs to be clear that it's worth the risk to pursue that particular opportunity. So for many small startups, whether they're female-led, male-led, a combination of, certainly very often startups don't always have the full resources themselves to be able to pursue a particular opportunity. They may not be in a position to take the risk on their own to pursue a particular opportunity. Therefore, there is a case to say, well, okay, let's combine forces with another organization, with another company in pursuit of a particular opportunity. Now, so first of all, it's about identifying and robustly analysing that particular opportunity, but then it's about finding the right partner. And so how can we do this? And it's very difficult for businesses typically to find a complementary partner. And this is where these ecosystems and these clusters can be very good, because they will have an overview of the companies within the team, and the cluster organization will have an overview of the companies within the cluster and the strengths and weaknesses of those companies. And so the cluster organization can play a very key role, one, in assisting with the market research, the trend analysis, the future orientation of the sector, etc. But also they can play a very key role in matching, brokering these partnerships. Now, it's one thing getting companies to say, yes, we'll start to collaborate, but then how do you collaborate? And how can these project plans be developed? How can the IP be worked out? How can all of these details, which matter very, very much, be managed? And they must be managed, because otherwise nothing will go forward. And then how are who's going to fund the projects? How is that funding going to be secured? Who's going to put in the effort to get that? So all of this work, the nitty-gritty work that has to be done, has got to be talked about. How do we do this? But this again is where these cluster organizations can play a key role and can be very supportive of the companies. Because remember, companies still have to run the company to bring in the money and pay the bills. So this is one way where there's a lot of evidence of this type of work going on around the world, particularly in Europe, very, very successfully. So it's about really analysing what's here, saying, okay, where are the gaps, and then just filling in those gaps. Yes. Sounds simple.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Any other comments from the panel or the audience? Yes, Ms. Neda.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fiona, and I agree about the collaboration, but another thing is about what I've realized in many collaborations, that not all of them are win-win. So we need to make sure that as much as I win, the other person as well, in any kind of memorandum of understanding or anything, like they need to be seeing the value of what kind of collaboration I do and how they can benefit from me as well, you know. It's not like I'm trying to win, but the others, they cannot see the value. So this is very crucial in making it successful collaboration and seeing the impact and value of what we're offering as well as what we're trying to get from them.
Absolutely right. And this is the challenge with collaboration. You know, when you get down into the nitty-gritty, and it's really finding that balance as to, you know, who will contribute what return will they get for this, and how will that collaboration actually really work, and what are the details. And you're absolutely right. And you know what happens if during the process of the development of a new product or a new idea, something else comes into the marketplace, and then there has to be a pivot somehow. How flexible are the partners in the collaboration, and how much trust? And at the end of the day, you can have as many legal agreements in place as you want, but it's going to come down to trust.
What we've done as well is the stakeholder perception surveys. We need to get feedback about our communication, and this is one of the excellence pillars in how do we make sure that we are getting the feedback from them as well. We are testing how much they are comfortable in our relation and how can we make it better. So this is missed sometimes, that they don't take feedback about how the collaboration is successful and how can we improve it better.
That's right. And these collaborations, you know, it's important that the learning from these collaborations is actually communicated so people can learn. and people can develop. And I think this is where the universities can play. There's a lot that universities can do, but I think this is one way that they can help in, you know, the development of case studies and the whole communication around all of this piece. Because collaboration, people get better at it.
Yes, I agree.
And over time they improve. And, you know, and we have seen examples. There's one particular cluster organization in Austria that I've studied for years now, and their impact, their regional impact is huge. They're amazing at collaboration now. You know, they've developed and shared their expertise, and they've been very open about the challenges, etc. And so but we have to start.
Yes.
So I'm going to complement that with something from the human element. Collaboration doesn't require compromise. It requires to be complement of each other's. When you compromise, it's a negative connotation. You're giving up something to get something.
Yeah.
That's not what a collaboration is about.
Exactly.
You are complementing your skill sets and what you bring to the table, be it a product or service, with what somebody's giving you beside you. So yes, it's never going to be 50-50 or 60-40, but if you do not have the adaptability to complement, and when you adapt, you're not giving up on your morals and your ethics and your beliefs. You are actually looking at the person in the eye and saying, I understand where you come from. This is where I come from. Let's find some median, or whatever that median buffer may be. But it's important because I've been in very many negotiations of contracts and conversations where, well, I've compromised to do this. Well, you already started on a back foot when you say that I've compromised. So collaboration makes sense in the right framework, but you have to be able to come to the table and understand that you are bringing something, you're not taking away something from yourself. So it's very important that we do this, and I think it's harder. I can say this hopefully, it's harder for women to do that, because they always feel like they have to compromise to get somewhere. It is absolutely the wrong mindset to have, and I think once you start changing that mentally, you'll see a different change of the person in front of you.
Very true.
If I could just add to that, we've heard the word collaboration a lot today, and it is very exciting. It's very much in vogue, but I think it has to be, you know, with caution, always, and to collaborate, and as Fiona said, to find somebody who's your good match and who you complement, but thinking about how it's going to work. And I think evaluation at the different stages of the process is crucial. You know, that feedback and learning from that feedback, and being very open to that measure of that feedback from the outset, and that both parties are very, very clear. And you've a much better chance of the collaboration being even a quarter way through being successful as you have without it. And I think without that, it gives it a robustness that gives it a chance of success.
And I think with anything new, there's always risk. But the question has to be asked, is the risk greater not to do something? And, you know, we do see around the world, there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of really creative stuff going on. And if we want to compete, then we've got to be in there, and we've got to find our way, we've got to navigate, and we've got to step up and keep driving forward. Yeah.
Many people have this, thank you. Many business owners have this perception that collaboration is a cost cutting. Because when they are collaborating, they are saving money also. Like many brands, they are collaborating with the influencers. Many are collaborating with the bloggers. And they think that they are cutting the cost of hiring professionals. How would you comment on this?
You know, collaboration can help companies to reduce costs, and that is, you know, one of the motivations to collaborate. But again, it has got to be thought through very carefully. The opportunity has to be worth it, and the partners need to be committed to see it through. But yes, one of the benefits is that it can help to share risk and reduce cost. Yeah.
There's so much to talk about, right? So I want to also add, you know, Fiona, you specifically mentioned it's a skill we need to learn. It's part of, you know, going back to mentorship. Because from my personal experience coming from the academia and universities, we're so good at signing MOUs, big names, big universities, lovely for accreditation. We work with them, but are we really working closely? What are we getting? We're compiling these MOUs in our offices. We talk about them, but are they actually benefiting us? So that's what we need to learn. Who do we collaborate with, and what do we do after this agreement? You know, this is the biggest problem we face. I've seen great MOUs but then after 10 years, what have we done with them, Fiona?
Now you won't get me to stop talking. But there's something else too in the whole innovation space. We talk a lot about entrepreneurship. We talk entrepreneurs and startups and smaller businesses, and we know that around the world the proportion of business that fits into the SME category, regardless of definition, is very high. But I think it's important to remember that larger companies can collaborate with smaller companies as well. Larger companies often have innovation challenges, and by working with innovative younger companies, they can help. Both sides can work together. The larger companies can help the younger ones, if you like, to scale more rapidly, and there can be benefit on both sides. So it's collaboration in a wider sense can be extremely beneficial. Again, it has to be managed, and again, it's back to these cluster organizations that have the skill set to help the businesses within the ecosystem to achieve all of this.
I know, Musa, you're probably looking at me telling me you need to wrap up, but I do have a very important question, and I actually did put effort into that.
Please go ahead.
So, and it's actually addressed to Najam and the men in this room. I see a few men in this room. As a male advocate in the field, what strategies, and this is to you, Najam, do you believe are crucial for dismantling the systemic barriers that can hinder the progress of women entrepreneurs? And how can men play a more active role in creating an environment where women can thrive in their entrepreneurial pursuits?
I think the temperature just got really hot in here.
We have a lot of men that can support you.
Well, they're not going anywhere. I think it comes down to, we've already said a lot of these attributes that we have: becoming allies, becoming supporters, offering training, becoming educators, having the conversation, being open to the dialogue. I think that's very important. Letting go of all vulnerabilities, of not asking the question, not asking the right question because we are fear of offending somebody because of their gender or their background or their upbringing, for that matter. So I think it's very important that there's structure around that. I think being voices because of where we are in the business world, because of de facto of having the XY chromosome, is affecting change from the top, being part of the culture, being promoting of women-focused initiatives or any kind of correspondences that we have. Anything where we can actually be a voice in the right sense, with the right respect, I think it's critical for males to be able to do so. I think also what's important is understanding that growth and comfort are never going to coexist. You have to be comfortable with uncomfortability. If you're not, it's going to be hard. And it's going to be hard. It's harsh growing up in your own home, in a foreign land. It's hard growing up when you're a teenager, going through adolescence. It's hard in any factor that you work in your life. It's very important to understand and respect the person that you're working with. I think advocacy of change, again, being part of that culture change is very critical, and being a voice for the right reasons. I mean, there's a lot more, obviously, we could talk about, but I think we've all collectively, all day today, have been talking about the right things.
Thank you. You can keep
I've
the
answered
mic.
that
Yes, you did. Any other men would like to comment, or should we close? All right, one final closing question, and you have less than a minute to answer. All right, Fiona, since you have the mic, my closing question for this panel: what advice would you give to aspiring women entrepreneurs who are just starting their journey?
If you're starting your entrepreneurial journey, my first advice is to be sure, research your business idea, research your customer. Do you actually have, is there somebody out there willing to buy, willing to pay for it, and willing to buy it often enough at a price that you can cope with? So,
and Angela, what's your advice?
Look at all the resources that you have. Financial resources, yes. You're lucky you're in a country where that's not so difficult, okay? But social capital, look at who you have. And before you reach out outside your inner circle, look at your inner circle, those closest to you. Regardless of what they've been doing in life, have their ear, what do they think? And throw lots and lots of questions at them. Because your inner circle will always tell you straight up the truth, more so than your outer circle straight away. So look at your pool of resources. Mix it up. Don't have it gender specific. Don't have it business specific. Look outside your specific discipline, what you're interested in, and mix up that pool of resources in terms of contacts, mentors, and make sure that they're there from the outset with you on your journey, and build on that pool of resources as you go forward with your journey.
Excellent advice. Najam?
I'd say let go of your ego. Whatever it is, just let it go. Have the conversation, be open. Financial literacy is very, very important. The speaker talked about the tone of your voice, how you tell your story from paper, Excel spreadsheet to the person in front of you. It's important to find your voice, practice often. Again, financial literacy, mentorship, all the stuff we've already said actually, so nothing new.
Yes, of course, Angela.
You know, Fiona started with the most important point, research your idea. Crucial. But I would add to that, and I think it's very, very important, you have to be passionate about what you're doing, because if that's not there, you're not going to take it all the way. And belief in yourself. So every opportunity that you get to question what you're doing, to critique it, and make sure that that passion and belief is there in bucket loads, because you're certainly going to need it.
And that leads me, I know I'm not supposed to answer, I'm the moderator, but this is what I tell my students in any journey. As Angela was saying, I always say, and I did write it down, believe in yourself and your ideas, seek out mentors and networks, don't be afraid to take calculated risks, and be prepared to learn from failures. Persistence, resilience, and willingness to continuously learn will contribute to your success. Thank you very much for your attention. That's it for us today.
It's amazing. Thank you very much.